Today we talk about the biggest piece in my collection and why it is vital for you to learn how to identify it so you can be safe out there. But I'm hearing you at home behind your screen telling me, but Vince, you're telling me this mineral is deadly and you're not wearing any PPEs. What is wrong with you? Well, you see, the toxicity of this mineral lies in its structure. Do you see that sheen there? Yep. So no, this mineral is not toxic. But you want to know that it's there when it's there. Yes, and I went exactly there for you to see and be safe at home. How kind of me, I know. Today, we travel thousands of kilometers to talk about
Antigarite. Antigarite, named after the Valle di Antigorio in Italy, is one of the minerals in the Serpentine subgroup. These rocks, rich in serpentine minerals, were originally called such because their appearance resembled a serpent's skin. Serpentines form from ultramafic Dunite-like rocks, rich in olivine, slowly being hydrated by water. Antigarite, in particular, is a product not just of hydration, but also of high temperatures, typically around 300 to 600 degrees Celsius, depending on pressure. Its hardness of 3.5 to 4 is a very poor indicator for distinguishing among other members such as chrysotile and lizardite, as rocks rarely contain only one of these at a time, making the hardness test more than tricky. We call these rocks primarily composed of at least one serpentine species, serpentinite. Instead, one of the best ways to identify antigarite is through its structure. But wait, Vince, I thought the danger was in the structure. We'll get there in a minute. It is important to take a small detour first to explain something. Scientists, engineers, and geologists use the geological strength index to assess a rock's strength for tunnel engineering or to determine a slope's weakness for other projects. Such a value helps determine what actual load a slope or rock can withstand. Here's where everything comes to a head. Antigarite is a sheet silicate. Each sheet is strongly bonded within itself, but weak relative to the others. The weak bonding between these sheets gives antigarite its characteristic cleavage. Cleavage is a property of certain minerals which always break along the same planes as their internal structure. Under tectonic stress, these minerals become aligned, fractured, and recrystallized into thin shear zones. As deformation continues, those shear zones become progressively weaker, allowing adjacent layers of rocks to slide past one another. Think of two wet bar soaps slipping against one another. It is the same rock, but the GSI has now dropped dramatically. These tectonic forces reshape the rock, and that deformation is called shearing. Sheared serpentinites are amongst the weakest rocks structurally in the world. Imagine these two wet soap bars on top of another. Nothing truly happens. Now, rotate them a bit, and the top bar will automatically slip and fall. The same can happen with antigarite. Depending on how the shear planes are angled relative to the slope, it gets tricky. On top of that, as with soap, water entering fractures after heavy rain can dramatically reduce slope stability. So, to get a clue as to where to look for serpentines. Look for signs of ultramafic rocks on the horizon. We already discussed these clues in the Dunite video. Another crazy reason why this mineral might kill you indirectly is that scientists have found evidence that dehydrated antigarite along fault or subduction zones could help create conditions for earthquakes. Now, let's look at real-world examples to train your eye. First on the list is Cape San Martin in California, or if you would prefer, the Greater Big Sur area. Did you know that many of the recurring rock slides on this road, which close it all the time you take a vacation to visit these beaches, can be attributed to sheared serpentinite, including antigarite? That's right, the road closures here are not part of a broader government conspiracy to slowly take away your rights. No, they are intrinsic to the rocks found in the cliffs and how structurally sound they are. Do you see these green cliffs being washed away by the waves, serpentinite, and water? Now, do you understand why people always die by rolling off cliffs in TV shows set in Big Sur? In these cliffs, to find antigarite, you are looking for faces with polished shear surfaces called slicken sides, often marked by parallel grooves known as slicken lines, parallel plates, bladed crystals, and green rocks are cliffs. Imagine putting weak sheared serpentinite on top of already weak rocks. Disaster abounds. Second location. Here, the cliffs are evidently serpentinite, even when seen at a distance. The older ultramafic rocks were thrust over the younger metasedimentary rocks. The highly blocky nature of these rocks has resulted in a pseudo-circular slope. The permafrost at the bottom makes the lower parts of the slope behave like a glacier. Some evidence suggests that this landslide slope began forming before 1740 BP and continues to move at up to 27 centimeters per year. It might be worth knowing before you send your home on a steamboat down the Yukon River. Third and last location is around Dun Mountain. Here, the antigarite is highly fibrous to splintery without being chrysotile or asbestos. The cliffs around this mountain are more stable because they are much less highly sheared, unlike the previous examples. One good way to identify antigarite here against chrysotile or lizardite is to look at it under a microscope in thin section.
So, this is why it is so important to learn how to identify it, because it could literally fall on your head and crush you to death. Every time I'm in the field, I always stay careful when I see this mineral, because I know how fragile such a structure built on this mineral can be. This is why I keep an eye out for antigarite, just so I don't get crushed to death. And yes, it's pretty heavy, folks.
For more on everything about minerals, visit my channel, Mindex. Thank you for sticking to the end, and please do not forget the Caldera like and subscribe buttons. Peace out. The Val.
Today we talk about